What's up, everybody? Welcome to Building Our Power. This is Gabby.
And Katie.
And we're back with another episode. Thank you guys for checking out our last one entitled Being Anti-Capitalist is Not Enough. If you want to hit us up, you can hit us up at Building Our PWR. Also, guys, if you would like to donate to the community fridge we got going on, we were able to stock the fridge today. I think we probably get enough for one more stock, and then we're going to be depleted all the way. If you want to help contribute to what we're doing with the community fridge, what we're doing with educating the masses, you can donate. The link will be in the description.
All right, everybody. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about a recent report that has been coming out of Georgia about slavery going on. To get started, I'm just going to give you guys like a little summary and then we can discuss it. But basically, for years, migrant workers who paid for help entering the United States ended up being forced to perform labor for little to no pay. So definitely slavery. Federal authorities say cowing to threats of deportation and violence by armed overseers while they lived in dirty, cramped trailers with little food or clean water. Some who had been promised up to $12 an hour to work on farms in rural South Georgia were instead ordered to dig up onions with their bare hands and got paid only 20 cents per filled bucket as men with guns kept them in check, according to court records. So you may be asking yourself, why are these people still here? Why are they working on the farms if they're having to go through so much trauma, if they're having to go through so much and pick onions by physical labor, by hand? Well, a lot of these workers, we're going to use legitimate terminology here. A lot of these slaves are seasonal workers who come to the United States through what they call an H-2A visa program. The H-2A visa program essentially is a way for the employer to bring people from other countries to work on their farms. With the H-2A, apparently the employer is supposed to provide you with food, water, housing, things along those lines so that you're able to work for that employer. And you work for them until you've paid off your so-called debt of coming over to the United States. Oftentimes, this so-called debt never actually ends. So this is actually called debt bondage or debt slavery. It's basically where the company or a person provides services as security for the repayment of a debt or other obligation, where the terms of the repayment are not clearly or reasonably stated, and the person who is holding the debt has some control over the person doing the slave labor. Freedom is assumed on debt repayments.
So what does it mean?
Basically, that means that the person who has power, the person who has your debt, they can essentially make you work for the rest of your fucking life. They can make up whatever money they want and say, you owe this. Hey, do you remember when I took you to the store the other day? You owe me repayment for that. You owe me gas mileage. Hey, you remember when I did this for you? Like, they can basically hold it over your head for the rest of your life. And if you're on the H-2A visa with these people, essentially, they can hold your job over your head where you're forced to go to leave the country and go back to whatever country you were from. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, like KT says, this has been going on for a long time. I've been doing research on it, obviously. Since slavery, like from the OG slavery. And, it's just kind of revamped itself. Actually, if you want to think about some of the origins and the original manifestations of this type of deal, you can look at the chain gangs, you can look at prison labor, and even there's like in the ICE detention facilities now, in 2007, they were bringing up the people that were there that they were forced to do labor. So this is a phenomenon. We watched a documentary or a little clip in 2008 where this little union of workers was trying to get the purchasers of the tomatoes that they grow, like Taco Bell, McDonald's, just to pay the company they work for, a penny more for each bucket of tomatoes that they provide for them. And the company that they worked for told Taco Bell and McDonald's, you better not do that. If you do that, we gonna charge you $100,000, just because it would have given these workers like double the income. They were only getting paid what you say 20 cents a barrel, or what? Not a bucket. A bucket. And they claim they're getting paid $12. But according to that video, they were like, in order for me to get paid $12 an hour with this pay rate, I would have to pick like 5,000 tomatoes every hour.
It was 3,000 tomatoes every 2 minutes. That's how they would make $12 an hour. It was 3,000 tomatoes every 2 minutes. They would have to produce that in order for them to make $12 an hour.
Yeah, so AKA it's impossible. And so this is the reality of American life. And you know what this reminds me of? I was telling KT, you see like them videos on Facebook and YouTube where it's like, this isn't unskilled labor, or unskilled labor is a myth. And it's like some people on the farm that's picking up tomatoes and stuff real fast and bundling it up, and it's like, wow, look at those people, they're so skilled, they're so great, but they literally have to go that fast to be able to get a penny.
Yeah.
So that's not anything really to be, it's not nothing to be celebrating, because you're celebrating the fact that people have to work at inhumane rates, just like in the slavery times, in order to live. And then it says they got guns to their head. So what does this tell me? Do you think that America, the government, doesn't know?
No,
when I just told you in 2008, Bernie
know.
Sanders was on a panel and they quote unquote was trying to hold these folks accountable. Like, go on the Wikipedia articles. I'm gonna read a couple of them. There's so many instances of like these workers coming out and saying this is what's going on, and charges being dropped on the corporations, or the corporate people never go to jail. Nobody gets a fine. No nothing. Why? Because this is great. This is capitalism. Why would a police officers, who literally their job is to uphold capitalism, keep the working class in check, why would they have some affinity to a undocumented poor person wanting some money?
I don't know, but I do want to kind of go back here where you were talking about how how slavery basically is existing, or slave labor is existing in the United States, and how the United States often, what are they doing right now in Beijing? Aren't they like protesting the Beijing Olympics because they're like, oh, well, Beijing has all these terrible human rights, whatever. But the truth of the matter is that the United States they literally have so many counts of slavery that is currently happening now, right now, not 60, 100 years ago. It's literally happening now to sheep and cattle herders. It's happening to egg farmers. It's happening to citrus farmers. It's happening to global organization cases, pea and bean workers. Like, I think it's important that when we talk about slaves and we talk about labor, we're not watering it down to okay, well, this is domestic labor. No, it's not. It's slavery, and if we're not going against it, it's going to continue.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because first of all, the fact that America all these years has this facade of just being the moral leader of the world. Come on now. The fact that the stuff that they pointing out that China's doing for the Uyghurs, I don't know all about that. I have not done my research on that. I don't know what's true or but I'm just going off of what they said that's going on, as far as, the re-education facilities, the forced sterilizations, the forced labor, the forced hysterectomy. I said that. Stuff like that. That's literally going on right now.
Yeah.
Today.
There's still doctors in the United States who, whenever black pregnant women are pregnant and they have their baby, immediately after their tubes are tied without consent of the mother. That's still happening.
Not even that. The ICE, remember the ICE whistleblower?
yes.
The ICE whistleblower where they were doing the hysterectomies and folks didn't even know.
Literally.
Which is historically what's been going on for a long time, especially in Mississippi back in the day. Used to do that on black women all the time. So, yeah, so that brings me to this. Because apparently this is coming out because now ICE is turning over a new leaf. Just 4 years ago, they were doing forced labor themselves. And now they claim they want to crack down on this labor trafficking. So my question is, why in the world do they care about that today?
What economic, here's my question. What economic benefit, and I think that's what you're asking, what economic benefit does ICE have of ending forced labor?
It can't be economic.
You don't think it's an economic benefit?
I think it's a social thing. It's a social thing as far as, here's my hypothesis. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. I think that now that they're doing this culture war, like this Cold War type thing, rebrand with China, and they're saying that they're doing all these things to the Uyghurs, and this, that, and the other. They trying to manufacture consent for us to go to war eventually. But in order to do that, they cannot have negative PR. And so one of the things they're gonna do is be like, see, we're not for that. We don't do forced labor. We don't allow these types of things to go on. We're not like China. We do better than them. So they won't be called out eventually by China and all these other places for doing the exact same thing. I think because there's literally, we know, there is no reason for them to get rid of free labor in America.
There's no economic benefit.
No reason. So there's gotta be something incendiary. There's my little hypothesis is not proven. I'm gonna have to research some more and eventually get to the nitty gritty. But it's definitely something going on here because y'all don't care. They were just saying, y'all just had prisoners fighting fires over there in California. What are we talking about?
I was thinking about, you're talking about ICE and how they're quote-unquote cracking down on all these people with quote-unquote illegal immigrants, which using that term is problematic itself. But I'm almost positive, like, whenever they're saying that, like, they're gonna charge companies or whatever, I'm almost positive they're still going to put those migrants, those immigrants,
deport them
into cages in order to deport them. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's not like they're actually like charging these companies and forcing these companies to actually pay people a livable wage or actually pay people a standard of living that is literally legitimate where they can go and eat and have sanitary conditions. No. They are going to still deport those people, even by finding those companies. And if you think about it this way, it just dawned on me. Of course, this is an economic benefit to them because they can find those companies, and that money goes directly to the United States government.
Yeah.
There you go. The corporations
will be willing to pay that, but I think it's something more than that. There's not enough money coming in for them to be investing all those resources. Millions of dollars just for those thousands. I don't know. But that does remind me, we were watching that thing. We'll have to link that video in our description.
Yeah, good.
Where this politician was like, with marijuana, guys, if we find somebody is selling and growing marijuana, we confiscate all of their things, and they can't sell marijuana.
Their property.
We confiscate all their property. And so this man said, listen to this. If they are guilty of slavery more than once, we should confiscate their business. More than once.
Here's my thing. We should get their property. Okay, let me reiterate that. We should get their property. But in slavery, human beings are property. So what are they going to do with all those human beings that they're also going to be taking?
That's the thing. See, that's the thing.
They're going to put them in prison.
There you go. And forced labor again.
Exactly.
Forced labor again.
And you know what? This is something that we ourselves need to be looking at, and something that Gabby and I, we've been researching and thinking about ourselves. We need to be thinking about how, like, obviously no one can be ethical in capitalism ever. Like, it's just not physically possible. But we do need to be thinking about how the things that we wear, how the things that we do, how the things that we eat are produced by human labor, which may be slave labor. It may be that I'm not even gonna say iPhones, but it may be that our T-shirt is literally made by someone who is paid 20 cents an hour. It may be that our tomatoes from Taco Bell are made by somebody who's making a penny an hour, and it's important that we're calling it out when we see it.
What can be done?
And doing something about it.
What can be done?
Call it out when you see it. Hold these companies accountable. Just like we're saying, okay, boycott Kellogg's, boycott these people. I think we can maybe not everybody would be able to, but I do think that it's possible for us to do a call to action like they're doing now with Kellogg's. And if we hit them where it hurts them, which is their money, it's possible that things could change.
You would need a lot of people organized.
You would. You definitely would.
But not even with that, that's something that would take a lot of time and a lot of preparation in the future. But as far as something you can do now is buy locally from your local little farmer if you have the resources. If not, I understand. Food is expensive, and these farmers is capitalism. They got to make money. Their produce is higher than the ones at Kroger. But if you have the means to do so, buy locally from your local farmer. That ain't, you make sure, go to their place. Make sure ain't no people over there. Make sure it's just they little family growing and stuff. And buy from them. As far as clothes go, I really got into this thrifting thing. Like, I besides like jeans and stuff because it's different. But as far as clothes and shirts and shoes and coats and stuff like that, I love thrifting now. Go on some reseller sites and get some clothes, because majority of the time with this, especially if it's good quality clothes, that's a way to not only not invest in that exploitation of labor, but also to not contribute to the landfill buildup of these clothes and stuff like that. So that is a way. But again, these are multi-billion-dollar corporations.
I was gonna say, like, there's only so much that you living in capitalism is going to be able to do anyway, and this is a surface level analysis of what we're seeing. But I do want to add that it's like, if you have the means, if you have the ability to, do it. Invest in your local community. We recently watched a documentary about Thomas Sankara, and he made it so that literally everyone within his country, his little state, his city, whatever, was growing their own cotton, producing, weaving their own clothes, and buying locally. It was like illegal for you not to do that. So if you have the ability, support your community and absolutely do that.
Yeah, but that's, the thing about capitalism is the poor working class.
It's not possible.
It's like we can only consume the products of the exploited. Like, that's all we can afford. Like, think about Walmart and stuff like that.
Yep.
Why is Walmart stuff so cheap? Because they get they clothes from sweatshops. They get all these produce and products from very low wage workers all around the world. And who's the one that's buying it? The low wage workers in America.
Yep.
So it's like a continuing cycle that's why we have to have political organization. You not finna protest your way out of this. You not finna vote your way up out of this. You not finna buy your way up out of this. It's gotta be a international eventually. It can't just be in America. It's gotta be everybody, because the way that capitalism is now, everybody's intertwined. There's no such thing as just a little national revolution. Your revolution is finna affect somebody else, and that's finna affect somebody else. So, yeah, I guess the goal of that is for us to think more globally, internationally, and, try to talk and communicate with folks that are overseas and just see like what is it y'all got going on? How can we support y'all? Is there any way we can support financially? Is there any way we can bring awareness? Is there any way we can whatever? Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like I said, this is, again, like always, we leave you guys with more open questions and more ideas to think about. But yeah, just let us know in the comments what you think. Obviously, we know that living within capitalism, there's not much that we can do ethically, but do you think that there is something that we could do ethically to help people? Especially people here in the United States who are slaves now in Georgia, who were slaves and may still be in Florida in 2008. What can we do?
I mean, ultimately, if there are organizations with the manpower, with the resources, steal them people. Like, go over there and just do it like they did back in the old days. Go over there and help get them people and help them escape somewhere in America and hide. Like the Underground Railroad. Because there's no real hope here. But that's for people that are doing that. If there are organizations doing that, I'll put them in the description. If they are doing it, I want to support 100%. Before we end, though, I had to talk about Kanye West and Drake with this doggone free Larry Hoover. Oh my gosh.
The exploitation again.
This exemplifies what I was talking about in that cancel celebrity culture video. Watch it if you have not. And the last episode.
Yeah.
The commodification of everything. So now prison reform is in vogue. Again, what does prison reform mean? Nothing. Nothing and everything at the same time. You could simply be saying they need to have more bars of soap, or you could be saying like nobody needs to be in prison unless they committed murder. Like it's such a vague thing. And for Kanye West.
So what did he do?
Okay, so for folks who don't know, Kanye West and Drake put on this little fundraising thing to bring awareness to prison reform and to Larry Hoover, who's in jail. He was one of the leaders of the Gangster Disciples. I think went to jail for murder and turned his life around, but's been there. He's serving like multiple life sentences. And so apparently that was supposed to bring awareness to that. But here's the thing about it, before we get into the nitty-gritty. Kanye went to Donald Trump, a president, and Donald Trump did not pardon Larry Hoover. I haven't heard if he's gone to Biden about this. What the hell is having a concert going to do to get Larry Hoover out of jail? If the president of the United States ain't done it, what are you singing to me finna do for Larry Hoover?
Okay, so here's the thing. I think what the assumption was that he was going to take the money that he made in those concerts and give it to like lawyers and stuff to help Larry Hoover get out.
That's what I thought.
That's the assumption. But the truth of the matter is, Gabby.
No, those went to some other non-affiliated nonprofits.
Sense.
I thought that makes sense as to what, if it's about free a man that is in jail, why isn't that money going to freeing a man that is in jail? I don't understand. I do understand it's capitalism. It's capitalism. He could not, as a capitalist, fund for that man to get out of prison.
No.
It goes against it goes against the structure. It goes against the model. You got to do it the right way. You know what I'm saying? Or even think about this. These guys have so much power, so much influence. They know everybody. They can pay everybody out. They can break that man out of jail. Like, they can literally break that man out of jail, pay off the correctional officers, pay off folks to cut off the cameras, and it'll be done. Dig a hole up under the ground like El Chapo. But they're doing a spectacle, a show, a this, a that. The show wasn't even dedicated to, like, let's uplift stories of political prisoners. Let's uplift stories of people that are in jail for the wrong reason. This was a capitalist performance, an egotistical, narcissistic ass performance of look at me, I'm doing something great.
I also think that there's a play here as far as like liberalism goes, because Kanye knows his audience. He knows that he has majority white people, majority upper middle class white people coming to his concerts. So for them, it was kind of like, oh my God, yes, like I'm gonna help Larry Hoover, and really, legitimately, like that's not even a way that you help Larry Hoover.
No. And then guess what? Them proceeds for them high ass, bootleg ass, Walmart, mall ass looking hoodies from Balenciaga, none of that's going to Larry Hoover. None of that's even going to a nonprofit.
Free Larry Hoover.
It says free Larry Hoover. It's not going to Larry Hoover. It's not going to a nonprofit. They keeping that. And then also think about this. Yeah, they say the proceeds go to a charity, but them people were paid by Amazon too. Them people get a check from Amazon. Them folks get paid regardless.
Yep.
And so this is where we're at. This is where we're at. This is the lows that we have come to.
Late stage
capitalism. That people, again, just like we talked about last week. These corporations, Amazon, the exploiter in chief of America, is funding, think about this, a program or funding a show that's for prison reform. That tells you prison reform ain't on nothing. If Amazon's putting their stamp of approval, that tells you that show ain't doing nothing radical. That show is a money-making scheme, because a corporation would never fund a program, a fundraiser, a shindig that was actually about radical change and about freeing these folks for real. They wouldn't. Mm-hmm. And so I just had to get that out there, because I just knew for a fact these people would not be that blatant with their disregard and would at least donate some money. I knew when I Googled it, they would say they gave this money to Larry Hoover, and they did not. And so that's y'all people. If y'all still listening to Kanye West and Drake, I'm judging you.
At least bootleg the stuff. Don't
y'all paying for music.
Yeah,
y'all going to concert. I'm sorry, you're getting judged. But yeah, that's all I want to talk about. I really want to harp on that for a second. But I think that's it, guys. I think that's all we're going to talk about today. If you have any comments about this labor trafficking thing, which is just ridiculous going on in America, the slavery, let us know. If you have any comments on the Kanye thing, let us know as well. You can hit us up at buildingourpower. You can hit me up at Gabby's Music. Hit KT up at KT_does_art. If you would like to donate to the community fridge we got going on, as well as the political education of our community, you can hit that link in our description and donate there. And I think that's it. This has been Gabby
and KT,
and this is Building Our Power.